Hey there guys, so I wasn't planning to make this video. This video wasn't planned, and you'll see by the footage what game we're talking about again. So, I guess we cut right to the chase. Assassin's Creed Shadows, I believe at the point of recording this video, it was last week, was confirmed to have been delayed. The game is being delayed now until February of 2025. The team at Ubisoft have basically said that while the game is basically finished, they would like the extra time to obviously apply finishing touches and, you know, bits and bobs, fixing this, polishing that, tidying this. Yeah. So, obviously this wasn't a planned video. I can't foresee the future. And it was really bizarre because I obviously made that video myself on Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then shortly afterwards, then the game, like a day later, was like, "Oh, we're delaying it," like a couple of days later, and it was really bizarre and very coincidental. So I thought I'd make a follow-up video. This one's not going to be super long. Obviously, there's not a lot to talk about in this situation, but I figured, you know, since I recently made a video about the game anyway, it made sense to make a video tying into that one. If you haven't seen that video, then there should be a little thing popping up now if you want to go watch the original video about what I said about Assassin's Creed Shadows, why I'm excited, but also why I am cautious about the game as well. Obviously, Ubisoft has a bad track record of the last couple of years. What I want to see, things like that. My thoughts, what I want, what I'm excited for, why I'm being cautious as well, etc, etc. So, you know, the game's been delayed. Personally, I think that's a good thing. It actually is. I think it's the first game ever I can think of Ubisoft actually delaying in recent years that I've paid attention to. Now, there are a couple of theories as to why they've done this, more than just like the message that they've obviously put out, which is we want more time to spend on the game. A couple of people have a couple of different theories. I'm not reading too much into them. I'm trying to see this for what it is, which is in my eyes a good thing. But there are a couple of theories that they've done it because there's a new Ghost of Tsushima game coming out called Ghost of... I can't remember. That's coming out, so they think that that's... Some people are saying that that's scared off Ubisoft. Some people are saying that because of Star Wars Outlaws not doing that well, they want to create a gap between their most recent game and their newest game. So they want to, like, kind of give people time to kind of essentially forget Star Wars Outlaws, I guess, which is not going to happen. People aren't going to let go that quickly. Of course, there is just that it genuinely could be just the honest truth, which is they generally just want more time to spend on the game. Pardon me. And they're just learning from their mistakes, which honestly would be quite nice and refreshing, especially from Ubisoft, because they have a habit of doing half-baked releases lately. But those are essentially the theories, where it's either because Star Wars Outlaws has not done that well, and they want to create like a longer and bigger gap between their most recent release and their newest game, which they obviously want to do well, because obviously Assassin's Creed is one of their flagship games, one of their flagship franchises. They've had it running for years. It's personally one of my favourite franchises. It was one of the first games I ever played on the Xbox. Assassin's Creed 2, as you guys will know, has always held a special place in my heart, and one of these days I really need to make a video about Ezio's trilogy, as well as Edward Kenway. Assassin's Creed 4 was also an incredibly good game. So, you know, they can produce quality products and quality games. It's just in the last, 5 or 6 years, we've just been met with, half-baked failure after half-baked can't be bothered after half-baked oops, we didn't do this properly, oopsies, is essentially what it's been. So them coming out publicly and going, do you know what, we're actually going to delay the game, especially in an era where a lot of people get annoyed when you delay a game. For example, we all remember what happened with Cyberpunk. That game was delayed, then delayed again, then delayed. It just kept getting delayed, and people kept getting more and more annoyed, so they finally caved, not just to the consumers, but to obviously their investors. They released the game, and the game is obviously broken. Now, don't get me wrong, Cyberpunk, as you guys will also know if you've been around on the channel for a while, is one of my favourite games ever, one of the best things I've ever played in my life, because obviously CG Projekt Red stuck around, played the long game, and stuck with the game to make it what it should have been. And they only recently finished updating it in the last year or so, and it's incredible. So to see Ubisoft kind of take the same path of, do you know what, we're going to delay it, could either be a really good thing or it could either be a really bad thing. So obviously, as I've said, the good way to see it is that the game genuinely is nearly done. They just want some more an extra time to finish it, to make it as good as it can be. And yeah, I'm all for things like that. If devs need a little bit of extra time, you know, so long as the game is actually nearly finished and it is genuinely just for touch-ups and polishing, then I'm fine with that. That's absolutely fine. The downside is it could be the polar opposite, and it could be that Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't actually finished at all, and the deadline is creeping ever and ever closer now because the month is here, and they are panicking. So they're scrambling for extra time now, and so they're delaying the release until February. And what could happen is they release it in February if they don't delay it a second time, and the game could be absolute terribly, like could be absolutely crap. Because it could be that it's actually not finished and it's not a polishing time and they actually haven't got enough time to finish it, so now they're panicking. Hopefully, and I say this really optimistically, hopefully it's not that second option, because if it is, that could honestly be the final nail in the coffin for Ubisoft. I've been reading articles lately. I don't have the links, unfortunately, because this is just stuff I've seen when I'm on Facebook and just quickly flicking through, like, in my day-to-day life. So I'm not really, like, reading it, if that makes sense. I'm just kind of having a quick scan of the headlines and stuff. So obviously, don't quote me on any of this and take it all with a grain of salt unless you find, obviously, the original source, and they are obviously, like, providing evidence to what they're saying. But essentially, what I've been reading is that Ubisoft kind of stocks are falling. There's talks of Ubisoft being bought out by another company because they just can't sustain. They can't sustain what they're doing currently. Essentially, their reign of laziness, shall we call it? Because it's not that they can't make good games, because we've seen them make good games in the past. I've played their games. I know they can make good games, but this last couple of 5-6 years has been laziness, if nothing else. It's trying to do the bare minimum while squeezing the maximum out of your consumer, which is not going to work, because the gaming industry is prolific for people calling out developers all the time. You can't really pull these kind of strategies. Only people like Activision tend to get away with this, and that's only because Activision and Blizzard are so huge, and obviously they were bought by Microsoft anyway, so Xbox owns them. But a company like Ubisoft isn't as big as it thinks it is. It is still big, don't get me wrong. Ubisoft is one of the big players in the gaming industry. It just is, because it's been around for so long. But compared to the likes of Activision and Blizzard, no. It's not as powerful as it thinks. And also, you got to think, Ubisoft was not bought out by a company. That's what they're now looking to do, potentially, because their stocks are falling. They're not... You know, their stocks are dropping, they're not hitting targets, obviously their games are not coming out finished, people are always finding things wrong with them, they're always half-baked releases, and they're charging top whack as well for these games. They're charging 70 quid or $70, I don't know what it is in dollars. You know what I mean, they're charging full market price. You know, Star Wars Outlaws, from what I've been looking at and reading, isn't exactly one of their best games either. Some people are saying it's good, some people are saying it's bad, some people are saying it's just alright and is just another reskin of another open world Ubisoft game. And obviously then there was that whole, you know, palaver with Skull and Bones, where they were like, yeah, we've made the first quadruple A game, we're redefining industry standards, it's going to be the best game ever. And then it was like really, really average. And I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one by saying they had made the first quadruple A game, and that they essentially were stating with that they were going to redefine what it meant to release a triple A game. And then the game came out and was like barely even to deserve to be merited as a triple A game, let alone quadruple A, whatever the hell that's even supposed to mean. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one as well. All round, they've just been making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, and it's not just the game releases, it's not just the half-baked releases, it's not just them hyping up their games for them to flop, but it's also the opinions of some of their higher-ups, like their CEOs or their, you know, higher directors. I vividly remember at the start of this year reading a quote from a Ubisoft dev or director, whatever it was, and I made a video on it. And they had literally been quoted saying that gamers, or the consumer, which is us, need to get comfortable with the idea of not owning our games forever and just having subscription services replace actual physical games. And I was just like, no. Like, if you pay for something, if I pay £70 for something, I should own that something permanently. I'm not buying the rights for a little bit to play for a couple of years and you take it away from me. I should own that game forever. And you know, that leads into the whole can of worms of, well, what about live service games? They die eventually. What about things like The Crew, where The Crew was finally taken offline by Ubisoft? I know you cannot play that game anymore. You physically cannot play it. Even if you own it, you can't play it. It's gone. The servers are gone. You cannot play that game. But then obviously you've got companies like, you know, the company that make Forza, Horizon 4. That's being sunsetted. But instead of, oops, we're now shutting the game goodbye, everyone who'd played the game got a free code from Xbox for the standard edition if they were playing on Game Pass, so they could own the game permanently. And the game will continue to be playable, just some of the features will not be available. But for something like The Crew, you physically can't play it anymore. It's just gone. There we are. You would have paid £60 for that when it released back like years ago. And now you can't play it. And I know some people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't be playing games that old anyway, because there are people out there that think like that, where they're like, why are you playing a game that's that old? But like, if you pay for a game, or you pay for a book, or anything like that, any form of entertainment, film, book, comic, whatever, you don't then expect years later, when you're like, do you know what, I'm going to pick that up again. You know, I'm going to give that book that I really liked, that I bought 8 or 9 years ago, that had a really, really good story, and it was really fun to read. I'm going to give that a read again. And then you go to your bookshelf and it's just gone, and there's a sticky note saying, sorry, we stopped selling this a year ago, therefore you can no longer read it anymore. Goodbye. It's not how it works. You don't pay for something and then get it taken away. It's not how it's meant to work. You buy a product, you keep that product, you've purchased it. The end. I don't know. Ubisoft are just, like I said, I'm hoping it's a good thing. I'm hoping they're delaying the game because genuinely, from an honest perspective, they are being honest with people and they are saying the truth, which is the game is nearly done. We just need a little bit more time. We want to get it polished. We understand we've made a lot of screw-ups in the last couple of years. Please give us a chance to release this game and make it really, really good so we can show you that we are learning and we are prepared to make good games again. I really, really hope it's not the opposite of that, which is we're lying straight through our teeth, we're lying to your face, the game isn't finished, it's not going to be working at launch, it's going to be broken and buggy and horrible, we're still going to charge you 70 quid, we're not going to delay it a second time, and you're all going to hate us and our stocks are going to drop lower, potentially forcing us to either be bought out by another company or actually close our doors forever, which would probably end the Assassin's Creed franchise as we know it. Because who's going to take it over? I don't know. I'm just going to leave it here because I just... Not a video I wanted to make. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. There's no way to know until February, but I'm going to leave it here, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the situation. Leave a like, leave a sub if you're new. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.